I can remember, like, across the road over here, waiting in the modular, that we called the clinic at one time. And people lining up at the doorway trying to get in. Well, we've got a larger complex here. They're still just about lined up at the doorway trying to get in. Hopefully this addition will increase our service to a lot better level with the work of all you people here at the clinic, as well as our board here. You know, it's goes back a long way. Like Chris was saying, she was showing you that little card. I remember when Ralston and I and some of the other councils sat in council chambers and planning this building. They wake me up, tell me the meeting's over. That's how interesting I thought it was. But we got it done. And I'd like to thank everybody involved in it today, you know. It's a great day.
You have to have a hard hat and you get a special shovel. Herman, why don't you come on over here? Yeah, right there would be good. Let's see, are there, I want to make sure there's enough for, are there enough? You guys each have one? Chris? No, one's for Chris. Chris has one? Okay. So, get in front of we don't, yeah, choose a spot.
My story is about Herman when I was on council with Herman. And at that time, we went from 5 tribal members to 7 tribal members. And at one point, there were nothing but women on the council. And the only man was Herman. And you can only imagine what Herman had to go through. And one day, he was the chairman, and he was chairing the meeting. And all of us women were sitting around talking about something, and then we started bickering, and we were bickering, and Herman finally got fed up, and he stood up, he threw something on the table, and he stormed out. And so I looked at what he threw on the table, and I seen what it was, and I started laughing because it was hilarious. It was a box of Midol. And I don't think anybody else noticed it, but I noticed it, and to me that was hilarious. And I really miss Herman. He was a great man.
Good day. Thank you for taking the time to let me share a few words about our chairman, Herman Dillon Sr. He was a big brother, grandfather to many, and he loved coming to Chief Leschi, listening to the kids sing and dance. He was a big supporter of the Chief Leschi school system. So I'm here today to share a few stories about him, some memorable stories about my time with Herman. My name is David Bean. I've been a council member for 10 years now, and for 8 of those years I was able to serve proudly alongside Chairman Herman Dillon Sr. One of the most memorable, when we go to Washington, D.C., you know, I get to sit and listen to Herman tell stories about growing up, playing baseball with Bob Setside. Herman was a catcher, and Bob was a pitcher, so he would talk about how hard Bob Setside threw the baseball, and he would just shake his hand like, "Ooh, that hurt." It was some just great stories, sitting and listening to him talk about his fond memories, and it was a great piece of history for me, a young council member, a young member of the tribe, to sit and listen to the history of our tribe. When I was a younger council member, my first year in, second year in, we went to Phoenix, Arizona for a gaming conference. And they said, keep an eye on Herman. He's not supposed to be smoking. Don't let him smoke on this trip. And so, who am I to tell Herman not to smoke? You know, he's a late 70-year-old something, and I'm a early 40-something. I'm not going to tell him he can't smoke. So he's sitting in the lobby smoking, and here comes his wife, Darlene. And he's smoking a cigarette. She grabs that cigarette, grabs a pack of cigarettes out of his hand, and he puts his hands up like Herman does, and just shakes his head. She walks away, goes about her business. I'm still sitting there with Herman. He looks around, reaches in his cowboy boot, pulls out another pack of cigarettes, and lights another cigarette up. That was a fun story, and clearly I didn't do my job. But what I would like to say, if I got to tell Herman one last thing, I would say, hey Shabbat, Siab Dillon. Thank you, Chairman Dillon. Thank you for all your lessons. Thank you for your service.
Stories I remember about Herman are, one of the stories I remember is we was at a casino in California, and he was speaking Indian, and I'm looking at him, and then I said, Herman, what did you say? And he repeated what he said, and so the next day I said, Herman, do you know Indian fluently? And he goes, no. I said, well, you were speaking it last night. And I'll never forget the look on his face when he said, really? And I said, yeah, you speak Indian. And it's just a story of Herman, and I just want to thank him for sharing his life with all of us.
I think all one has to do is close their eyes, and the first vision that comes to mind is Herman sitting at his desk doing one of two or three things. When we were at the Cushman building, it was always Herman in his belt buckle and his boots and his feet up on the desk, and he'd always say, here comes trouble, when anybody would walk in the door. It's one of the things I remember about him, and his hat would be sitting there, and he had a cigarette going, of course, and that's just... It isn't really a story, it's just a vision of him that I think everybody has seen through the years, and many times we would go out of town to go to tarot conventions, and there'd be Herman, and one of them that I remember particularly was we were waiting at the airport for someone to pick us up when we were out looking for... we were looking at casinos to see how we wanted to build our casino, and Herman would go over to one of the slot machines down in the airport, and he would get involved with it, and he would of course win. He would always win. I don't know how anybody did that, but he'd hold the group up because he had to get his money cashed out, and it's like, how does that happen? What are the chances? But every time he would win. And it would always be in the airport when, before we even got where we were going. So, here's Herman, and he looks like he should be somebody famous, like Porter Wagner or somebody, because he had that look like a country Nashville star. That's Herman, the boots and the belt buckle and the bright colored, Pendleton or something, and that hair. And I think we went and traveled. I think we went to Florida. I'm pretty sure he was there when we all went to Florida too, but... he was certainly the centerpiece of the group, everywhere we went. He was just this personality. There'll never be another Herman Dillon.
My memory with Herman is just that, about inspiration and who he was as our elder in our community, that stable place. And as I was working at Leschi and as I went to school, he always had some laughter to share, an anchoring point. And I knew that no matter when we sat down, there'd always be laughter down from his toes, with his head back. And it was always a place that I knew I could come and just feel that safety and laughter. And I just so appreciate that, and I'm joyful and steady.
We used to fish out at Chambers Creek an awful lot, and Herman came to me and asked me if I had any extra gear, and I sure did. So he was fishing out Chambers with me a lot, so I brought my motorhome down to him and let him get settled there. That's when him and Darlene got together. For the first years of fishing Chambers Creek that I can remember, we caught a lot of salmon out there, mostly coho. That was years ago when we used to open up Chambers Creek on the outside so we could fish it. And he was out there with Darlene, and they just had a blast. They came in with fish and stuff. We talked about all kinds of things, anywhere from the mountain to the river to the Puget Sound, and we talk about boat motors and nets and things, how we hung them and different things like that. We talked about all kinds of things that we used to participate in, and he says, I'm getting too old to do this anymore. And I says, no, you're not. Yeah, if there's one thing I'd say to Herman, which he hears from me quite often, good job. You did all right. He had a great life.
I would like everybody to see how I start every morning. At the end of the hallway, I had my staff put up this picture of Herman, as Herman played such an important role in the growth of the tribe. Herman had an important role in my growth. I've known Herman my entire life. I've always felt like he's a father. You know, Herman's always been a great leader of all of us in the tribe, and I would like to thank Herman like I do every day when I see this picture. Thank you for everything you've done for us and the tribe, and I love you. It was always a lot of fun when I was growing up, as we would be going up and down the river. Back in the old days, there was maybe a dozen at maximum number of fishermen on the river, and as a young child, you look forward to see certain people, and I always enjoyed seeing Herman and Uncle Harry also, as they brought lots of humor to the night or the day, and look forward to doing that. And as we got older and we were fishing out in the Sound, Herman would be out in his boat, and at night when you're fishing gill netting on the Sound, you don't really have much to do other than talk back and forth on the CBs, and it used to be just a lot of fun because Herman always had lots of great jokes, and he was a jokester, and it was fun just all night. That's how you passed the time of the evening, was calling each other back and forth on the radio. And Herman's always been a real close person to me. He's always helped guide me through life. And as I got older and working here at the casino, he had lots of input, and he was very supportive of all the activities at the casino, which led to the great success of the casino. And the tribal members have a lot to respect Herman for, as he was a great leader. Herman was not a follower. Herman had always been a leader throughout his entire life. And I thank you again, Herman.
It's all important because now the tribe becomes a part of this collective sense of creating a community and regional centers. And we can learn from one another and exchange with one another and provide even greater opportunities for the people that we're trying to work with. So this is one more step, and I'm eager to learn about the success of this, and certainly those of us who are working in our efforts in Tacoma will work with you, with the tribe, in terms of what our successes are, and we're eager to learn about your successes as well. So this is a dream now that's coming true. Congratulations.
Do you see a benefit from this community center to the gathering between natives and non-natives in the local areas?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it brings us all closer together, a better understanding of how we live and what it takes to exist amongst each other. Sweet little Louisa. Louise, will you please come forward? Come on up here. Hey, we all love you. We have a blanket to honor you with. Doing great. Vernetta's going to wrap you. Gotcha. Move over in the middle there, sweetie. And she disappeared.